This is the demo for my game, and it's been played by over 2,000 different people who all play for an average of 23 minutes each. Now, of course, not all of them play for 23 minutes. Some boot up the game for 30 seconds, realize it's shit, and then turn it off to go play Overwatch. And while it does take about 23 minutes to beat all 8 levels, many people play for longer, spending an extra couple hours to 100% complete the game, collecting every Thunderbolt and speedrunning every level. So if it only takes a couple hours to 100% the demo, why has this person played for 106? And how can he beat the whole thing in just 2 minutes? I've tried speedrunning the game that fast, and I just can't. I'm not good enough. This player has literally beaten me at my own game, and here's how he did it. First, I need to start by explaining some physics. Almost all video game characters have a max velocity, some number in their physics engine limiting how fast they can go. And my game, Thunderjumper, it just doesn't have one. For instance, in Super Mario Bros. 3, Mario's max velocity is 13 tiles per second, meaning that for almost every level in the game, you can figure out the best possible time by just counting the width of the level in tiles. Level 1 is 177 tiles long, meaning that the fastest possible speed should be 13.5 seconds. And the current world record? 13.6 seconds. Pretty close, right? But despite the levels in my game being physically longer than those of Mario 3, at least in terms of tiles, speedrunners have managed to beat them in even shorter times. And it's not as simple as my character just running faster than Mario, because Little Bolt here actually runs much slower. But unlike Mario, Bolt here came prepared. He enters every level with a rocket launcher. And yeah, you can shoot dudes with your rocket launcher in this game, but you can also shoot yourself to perform a rocket jump. Bolt actually can't jump without it, and unlike in most platformers like Mario, Super Meat Boy, Celeste, Shovel Knight, Hollow Knight, The Dark Knight, unlike in those where your jump either acts independently of your horizontal velocity or it directly slows you down, in this game your jump is the primary way you gain velocity. Running itself barely does anything. The effects of each rocket jump are cumulative, meaning that if your first jump sends you at 8 tiles a second, the next will send you at 16 tiles a second, and each individual jump can be slower or faster depending on the angle you shoot at. There is no limit to how much velocity you can add here, so you can go on, getting faster and faster until you either pump the brakes yourself, hit a wall, die, or win by destroying the factory at the end of the level. Well, there is also a fifth option, which is to redirect your momentum through your electric grappling hook. This tool allows you to turn that insufferable, useless vertical momentum into sweet, sweet horizontal momentum. Or, you know, the other way around. If you're this guy, then you figure out how to use it in a way that allows you to teleport through solid walls, but that's beside the point. The grapple is built in such a way to ensure you preserve as much momentum as physically possible due to its retraction feature. Basically, moving closer to the pivot point will automatically shorten the grapple length instead of cutting into your momentum. It's more like a fluid web swing than a fixed pole vault, basically. This is also different from what most games do with grapple hooks. Usually they find some way to artificially boost your momentum with the grapple hook, either by giving the player a speed boost or by breaking the laws of physics to keep the player moving at the same speed, regardless of inertia. It was extremely important for me not to do this, since I wanted the game's physics to be consistently predictable regardless of the player actions. The goal was for the grapple to preserve momentum earned through rocket jumps, rather than being something that gives you momentum for free. Oh, and one final thing, you can turn into lightning and slam the ground anytime you want without losing horizontal velocity. It's like a ground pound mixed with a teleport. I call it the Storm Strike. When everything is put together, we're left with a game that allows you to gain infinite velocity, redirect it at will, and teleport downwards within the flash of a single frame. And that's if you're using these things separately. It didn't take long for the player Traceus to discover sync jumping. Basically, you just gain some air, shoot downwards, and then storm strike the position of the first explosion while immediately afterwards shooting a second rocket to experience 2 blasts at once, effectively doubling your jump power. Once players figured this out, there was no going back, especially for one man, Noob King 007. The former Thunderjumper champion of the world. Much like Special Agent 007, this guy does not know when to quit. While most people would play the demo for a little bit, throw it on their wishlist, and then forget about it, Noob King never forgot. He played this tiny little 8-level demo day after day for 6 months, perfecting every last nook and cranny, hitting godlike shots and taking advantage of every last tile, every last pixel in this world, all in search of better speedrun times. And better speedrun times he found. The highest reward a normal player can receive on a single level is the lightning speed achievement for completing it in less than 15 seconds. Noob King managed to cut all these times in half. Many tried, but nobody could even come close to Noob King's times. And his any % speedrun of the entire demo cemented his status as the king of Thunder Jumper. Just watch. On level 1, Noob King would spam the Storm Strike with rockets to gain ridiculous horizontal velocity at the beginning of the level, then chain together several well-timed shots to fly upwards and get a quick hit on the factory. Nothing too crazy so far, but on level 2, Noob King utilized a technique he discovered where he'd start a rocket jump, shoot downwards, and then restart the level, teleporting himself to the start and shooting a second rocket as soon as that first one lands. The added force allows him to completely skip this tunnel section and get right to the second half of the level within just a couple of seconds. Then he skips even more tunnels by shooting a rocket as he passes through this one-way platform, sniping the factory mid-air while it's off-screen. Alright, now things are picking up. Level 3 introduces the grappling hook, and while most players entering the level for the first time fumble around with it for a good while, Noob King uses it to its full advantage. First, he gets 2 rocket jumps right out the gate on this ledge, even though there is barely enough space to do so, and then hits 2 more on each of these hills while grappling in between them, timing them perfectly with his Storm Strike ability. Then after gaining this ridiculous amount of speed, he pulls off a sync jump in this tiny area to get over these vines. He then does another strike and shoot, and at this point he's got some good speed going, so he cruises out the rest of the course with some well-timed Storm Strikes to dodge hazards, while maintaining that initial speed he worked so hard to attain. Then as soon as he's inside of the factory, boom, it's gone. Level 4 introduces the rocket hop, where a player is able to avoid hazards by hitting rocket jumps off of them before touching them. If you come from TF2, you might know this as a pogo. It's probably the toughest mechanic for new players to learn, but Noob King does not care. He flaunts his technical skill once again by hitting 2 rockets right out the gate, and then continues to hit these extremely steep angles on the deadly water to get as much horizontal speed as possible, enough to completely fly through this tunnel area with just 2 grapple hooks. And then he lands himself in this long, flat area up top, which for a player like Noob King acts as a runway, as he gets 7 rockets off and flies over the rest of the level at 44 tiles a second. Now, a lot of these tricks Noob King has been using won't work on level 5 because it has a ton of vertical hazards. There's no runways or anything. But despite this, Noob King still hits his signature 2 rockets right at the starting ledge, rocket hops over this hazard to get even more momentum, and then hits a sync jump into a wall jump into a ceiling shot before tragically missing a sync shot by just a hair, throwing off his rhythm and causing him to fumble up this wall jump section for a few seconds, where he racks up a couple of deaths. Luckily, respawn times are instant in this game, and he finally recovers and combos the wall jumps into yet another ceiling shot, into a grapple swing, into a Storm Strike, and then yet another death. Luckily, he had just hit this checkpoint, so it didn't set him back too far. He gets back on his feet immediately and then misses the first rocket and falls to his death for yet another several second setback. Noob King decides to play it safe for the rest of the level and just hits a couple grapple swings at low speed to ensure he can put this level behind him. He ends off with a nice clean 19-second time, which to most players is phenomenal, but to a man who's been hitting 6 and 7-second times on the last few levels is just agonizingly slow. And you can tell he's getting frustrated here by the fact that during the level transition he's swinging his mouse around like a maniac. We move on to the 6th level, Airship, which features the most moving clouds out of any level. These things can be tricky because while you can grapple on them and shoot them, the black ones will kill you on contact. Noob King is able to use his classic runway technique and get 4 rockets off before colliding with this cloud cannon. Now, every tile in this game has a square hitbox, including the clouds and the cloud cannons. But you, the player, have a circular hitbox, meaning that if you hit the edge of a tile at just the right angle, you can use your horizontal velocity to bounce upwards. In the normal game, this never comes up. None of my dozens of playtesters ever even noticed this feature. And sure, I knew this kind of technique is technically possible, but it's so difficult to pull off that I put it completely out of my mind while designing levels. And Noob King took full advantage of that. This level is supposed to be played as follows. You jump through these dark clouds, grapple on one like a gondola to get to this checkpoint, hop over these pink clouds, then grapple or jump through this mixed area before reaching this tough tunnel section that acts kinda like a laser field in Mission Impossible. That is what's supposed to happen. And this is what Noob King did. He hits his signature bajillion rockets at the start, collides at that perfect angle against this cannon to completely skip the gondola section, steals some velocity off this cloud just because he can, and then goes full speed ahead and almost entirely skips this second cloud section. Then once again he hits another bounce angle off this white cloud to jump completely over the Mission Impossible thing and time an air shot right as he flies over the factory. And then we get to the second to last level, Downwell, named after one of my favorite games, Downwell. This level is Noob King's kryptonite. He starts strong with a bunch of well-timed storm strikes, but isn't quite able to pass under these clouds quickly enough, losing a couple of seconds. He then makes the pro gamer move of dying 4 times in a row for basically no reason before pulling off a legitimately impressive storm strike in between these death clouds. But then 1, 2, 3, 4 missed shots on the factory before slowly dropping down to finish the job for a 21-second run. An amazing time for most players, a horrible time for Noob King. And then we get to the most painful part of the entire run, Pulse, the 8th and final level of the demo. Noob King falls back on old habits by attempting one of those restart sync jumps we saw in level 2, hoping to get a one-way ticket right into this tunnel area, but he flubs it completely and just hits a wall. Instead of cutting his losses and pushing forward, he restarts the level and goes for another sync shot, losing a ton of time, and while this sync shot is better than the last one, he still fails to get the right angle he needs and just barely is able to escape this wall of death clouds by hitting a well-timed rocket against it. Thankfully, he's able to gain a ton of speed in this tiny burrow area and end off the run gracefully with a few clean rocket strikes and a grapple for good measure. A nice even 20 seconds for the final level. From start to finish, including the loading screens, Noob King sets the Thunder Jumper any percent speedrun world record at 2 minutes and 24 seconds. This record would hold for over 4 months. Many tried, but no mortals could take the king's crown. Sadly for Noob King though, his opponents weren't limited to the strictly mortal. Let me introduce you to Danya V, the current Thunder Jumper champion of the world. While Noob King went as far as the flesh could take him, Danya V transcended this human form to reach godly heights. Using his programming skills, Danya created a tool that would allow him to slow down the flow of time in the game, and yes, even freeze it with a single key press. This dark magic is of course not allowed during a real speedrun, but the secrets he unlocked with these methods could be taken with him into a legit playthrough. He bent time to his will to practice the perfect angles. He tapped into the game's code to discover the exact forces behind every object, every movement, and like Dr. Frankenstein, he used his powers to create a beast with strength beyond even his own, a tool-assisted speedrun. Now for those who don't know, a tool-assisted speedrun or TAS is kinda like when you can't beat a level and so you hand the controller to your older brother to learn from him, except your older brother is a perfectly optimized supercomputer incapable of making errors. By practicing with slowed time, calculating perfect jumps with the game's core data, and receiving training from an elite robot he built himself, Danya V was able to learn the skills required to dethrone Noob King 007. One by one, Noob King's individual level records got shattered. And then, just last month, his full game any percent record was taken from him. And while in one sense I was happy to see a fresh face on the throne, in another sense I was sad to lose Noob King, for he was a good king. And when the Dark Wizard Danya took over, he decided to share his black magic with the people. He made his tasks publicly available and spent time teaching others how to do what he did. And if things stopped there, perhaps we'd have a happy ending to this story. But back when Danya was plotting to overthrow Noob King, he discovered something else lodged deep within the game's code. Something no one had ever seen before. A secret 9th level. Back when the demo first came out, I had carefully crafted a series of secret puzzles for players to solve in order to unlock this level, and a small group of players were on the final riddle. They were so close to solving it, but Danya, without even knowing about the secret codes hiding in each level, shared his discovery. Soon enough, players from all over were breaking into the game's files and editing text data to instantly teleport them into the secret level. At this point, Pandora's box had been opened, and there was just no going back. Danya discovered bugs that let him shoot through certain walls and climb into areas normally unreachable. Then this other gentleman, joined in and discovered that you can crash the game entirely by leaving the speedrun clock on overnight. pretty sure he did this one by accident, but it still counts. And while these players were setting my game on fire, this one guy Gabster was just off painting levels from memory. I mean, look at this beauty. This one's definitely going on the fridge. But by far, Danya's ultimate glitch discovery involved something no human could reliably pull off. A frame-perfect storm strike right at the beginning the instant a level loads. Because you technically strike before any of the ground has even loaded in, the storm strike fails to get the coordinates of the ground below you and just teleports you directly to the world origin instead. Using this technique, the task would become truly unstoppable in glitched runs. From the people, a king emerged, and by the people, that king was slain. The dark wizard who took his place couldn't handle the power that got him there, and soon his wicked creation took hold of all the land. In a game about robots taking over the world, a robot reigns supreme. And this is where the story of the Thunder Jumper demo ends. Because today, I have just released the full game on Steam. And while it has been extremely difficult working solo on this project for the last 18 months, seeing this small community of players get super into the game made it all worth it. It was truly the experience of a lifetime. I never thought I'd see somebody like Noob King put over 100 hours into one of my games and just get absolutely goated at it. It has been surreal to say the least. On those days where I hated working on this game, I'd pop into the Discord server and see another personal best posted by the king himself, and it would remind me of why I got into game development in the first place. And so this one is for the man who beat me at my own game. I hope this full version is to your liking, Your Majesty.